Thank you for having me. Really, it's really lovely, this connection, and this idea as well of like talking about motherhood and talking about drums. I mean, I think to me, like it just ticks all boxes, So I'm like, I'm all for that.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's something that's, really close to our hearts, isn't it? This whole thing of drumming, motherhood, and how to navigate it all. Um, but I wanted to ask you about, take us back to when you started drumming and when you knew you wanted to do it as a profession. Can you
Right.
tell us about
Okay.
that?
Yeah. So it's been sort of a quite a journey because I started obviously when I was, I don't know, like 8 or 9, and it was because my mom actually saw the rhythm that I had and the potential. So um I'm originally from Mexico, so during that stage and that time, like it wasn't very popular for girls to do things like that. So there were no programs for girls at all. So I started playing actually like at church, and she played the piano there. So I that's how sort of my involvement started, and like the whole drumming idea. But even though it was a dream of mine to do it as a profession, like I just couldn't see how that was going to work out, you know especially in a country like Mexico. Like even even normal musicians just struggle. That's it, like, let alone like a female drummer, all of that combination. And I ended up studying something else. Like I went with business degree and stuff, but it was always inside, like that little thing saying. And I think it was just like somebody, just sort of shaking it a little bit for me to say, okay, that's it, we're doing it. Like, and that was when I went to Berkeley for like a summer program, and then I realized, okay, well, this is, I guess I studied the wrong thing. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And ever since I left, it just became that realization of like, it's actually possible, and I can see other people doing it. I know that I also want to do other things, and it's complicated. For instance, how am I gonna gig and also take care of a baby? How am I gonna like get married? And you know, um, I'm so glad that things just work out the way they did, and I gave it that time as well. Like to do that. Because sometimes when you're really into it, then those things stay behind, and you're like, yeah, I'll see if, like maybe next year, maybe, and another project comes, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I cannot lose this opportunity. So when I moved to the UK, like it was hard for me because I didn't know anyone, and at the same time I was dealing with all the sort of uh immigration stuff that you have to do, like getting citizenship, like getting the visas. So I had to get work at, like, that's it. It didn't matter where. Like, so I went with my business degree because that was the easiest, just to get through, as like, because everybody would ask me like for UK experience, even though like I would fit the role perfectly. If I hadn't had work here ever, then it was just very hard. um so yeah, like it just became like, I think that the glass got full at some point of like, okay, I'm tired of like doing something that it's not supposed, like I'm not supposed to do. I know I have small kids and stuff, but I think it's a better example for them, for me to follow my dreams without, like, um, without just putting them on the side, like just trying to balance everything, because I see other people that do it. My mom did it with us, so it obviously takes, lots of work, but it's doable. And right now here we are. So yeah.
Can you tell us if you'd thought about having a family when you were younger? Was that always kind of part of your plan, or did you have to fit it around your drumming?
Yeah, it was always the plan. Like, yeah. um I never went like really specifically like, oh, I want to do this and then I want to do this. I've always been sort of, even though I'm sort of like things to be like organized and have control over things. I'm also sort of like a free spirit of like just letting things happen. Like I know that if you work hard for something, things are just gonna fall. Obviously with a plan, but not a very detailed plan. But that was always part of me. Like I did want to get married. I wanted to have a family. I just didn't know where I was gonna, like, yeah, where I was gonna be at that time, or like what I would be doing. When they ask like, how do you see yourself like in 5 years? I'm like, I've got no clue. Like like wrong answer. But I mean, I can't. It doesn't depend on me. So
Are you like that now as well?
I am a little bit, yes. I think it's just to take care of my mental health. Like when you worry too much about things, obviously I do keep track of absolutely everything that I can, but there's a certain point where, you just cannot control the future. And if you're doing things right in the present, then things should fall in place, and there's no point just worrying about things that you don't have control of, you know
That is a little nugget right there. If you're
Yeah, it
doing
is.
things right in the present, things will just take
Mm.
care of themselves. I love that.
Thanks, man.
I'm gonna quote you on that.
Yeah, well, otherwise you'll be like so stressed about things, and it's so easy to fall into that, and then it just affects, everything that you do, because you're always anxious about, what's gonna happen, and then you don't even enjoy the moment, so
Mm.
um yeah, I always try to let go of a few things. It's very easy to say right now, you should see me like on a Monday morning, like no, but you know it 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 it's there's no point, so I do try to be just like chill, and things will happen.
Yes. What was it like for you being pregnant and drumming? Did you drum when you were pregnant? How was the whole experience?
Obviously, yes, and it was awesome. It was awkward as hell. I mean, it's like, yeah, obviously. I mean, even if you're not pregnant, people, you just rock up and it's already awkward if they don't know you. Like, are you the singer? Let alone like somebody pregnant. Like, I'm here to play drums. And people go like, doesn't that affect the baby? Like stuff like that. So, yeah, with both of my girls, I wasn't that I didn't get that big, so it didn't affect, like physically or anything. But yeah, when I started playing, they would just go mental inside, Like, it was just like, okay. And then it was funny because, I'll be playing and there will be a break or something like between songs or something like that. And then, my stomach would just be like all over the show. Like, I'm like, just stop moving, man. This is very, very weird. And also the whole experience about like carrying things, I mean, obviously in gigs and stuff, and lifting the drum kit and taking it, I think that was the most problematic thing to me, to ask other people to do it, because obviously I am very like, oh, I get paid, you get the full service, like I am a strong woman and I'm gonna do it myself, and I do know how to assemble a drum kit, okay? So no need for advice or anything like that. So just asking people, oh, can you help me carry this? And they're like, oh, well, you have 2 hands and 2 feet, like, uh, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine, fine. But yeah, that was always the little awkward bit.
Mm, I hear you.
Yeah, but I do feel that, like just being in the environment, babies, like become musical, like both of my girls are very musical, and I don't know if it has something to do with that, or it was just growing up right now until now, that they've been around music all the time, because I mean they pick things up like this. I'm like, this kid is gonna develop perfect pitch, like that's it, because it's just crazy that you can see those skills. And I mean, it's genetic and stuff, but it's also being in the environment. I do feel so. Even inside, I'm sure they can hear. Well, they do hear. So, yeah, like, because my eldest, just jumps in the drums, and like, I'm like, this kid is good. You know, like,
Yeah, I've
that's
seen.
my kid actually. I'm like, yes.
How old are
Isn't
they
that?
now?
So 7, my eldest, and 4, the youngest. Yeah, they're very sweet.
Have you ever experienced any discrimination or any barriers, particularly being pregnant or because you've got kids? Maybe you've been overlooked, or have you ever had any of those times happen to you?
Yeah, in the past, and I mean, it's just the whole thing of like female musicians. You know, I wouldn't blame it on that. Obviously, if you rock up pregnant and they want a long-term project, then they would be a bit, you know, nervous about your commitment and things like, which I understand, because I wouldn't even be able to tell them myself, you know. Maybe with the second child you're like, oh yeah, she's good, but with the first one you're you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. um and I wouldn't take it very personal because I do understand, but my experience completely changed this time when I actually got the contract for the tour with Six. And I was so scared to tell them that I had a family. But when I did, it was actually even better. You know, they were like, well, we actually want to change the industry of how they feel about women, you know, like having a family. And we want to help, you know, and we don't want people just to retire so early on because, the, you know, they would be seen like, okay, she become a mom, that's it for her. You know, so I was really blown away, you know, because I did hide it for as long as I could. I thought it was really unfair, but I'm like, I want no issues, you know, with this. It because you know it was a bit of back and forth. But when I did, they were like, oh, we really want, you know, to show the industry that it's doable. And I'm like, well, I'll try. I'll try. But it became doable, you know, and yeah, it's a good example, you know, because people get inspiration from colleagues, get inspiration from people around us, you know, like it doesn't have to be like a massive artist or anything, you know, to get inspired. So it was the same thing I was talking about, of like seeing other female musicians actually playing and actually living of music. And I'm like, well, I could do that as well. And I'm like, okay, let's do it, you know. So same thing with this, you know, it's obviously very complicated, but it's doable and you can still manage and balance a life. And I know that in the end, my girls would be very grateful, you know, like because they could see that a mom, you know, does cool stuff. And I do think that cool stuff is also staying with them, which I've done that, you know, and I, you know, like my mom did that as well at some point. Um, but also, you know, going and working and achieving dreams. And it's fantastic when my kids rock up with their like 6, you know, beanies and stuff, like, yeah, my mom is the drummer for Six, the musical and stuff. And the kids have no idea what the musical is, you know, but they are so impressed, you know. And then I get like, oh, can your mom give me a beanie as well? And I'm like, man, this is gonna be a very expensive installation. But yeah, you know, like I want to do that as well, you know, not just for me but for them, and also opening the door, you know, for them to have opportunities and to change, you know, the way it is perceived, even if it's just by women actually helping women, not waiting for, you know, everyone else to change their minds, just us doing the work. That's fine, you know, as long as there's a platform, you know, then it would just become bigger and bigger and people, you know, will understand.
Yes.
Um, just to carry on there with what you were talking about with your contract, is there anything that you can think of as an example that the company behind the musical have done to help you and support you as a mum?
Yes, so I do take off, and this also has to do with the musicians union, but I take off lots of weekends, just to extend the time that I can go back home. Like I feel that I'm not touring properly as in, oh, I don't have a house. I just literally go from city to city, and my house is the digs I stay with, and I do have a house. And I come back, and let's say sometimes we have uh 8 shows in 6 days or 8 shows in 7 days. So when it is a Sunday, then I dip out the Sunday, and then I come back early. I stay Sundays, Monday, and part of Tuesday, and then I go. And nobody has ever said anything. They do the typical joke of like, it's the weekend and you're here. Wow. But they actually support that, and I said, well, I have to see my kids. Like, I cannot go from one city to the other and disappear for 2 weeks. And both the musicians union and the show, they understand that. And even if it's a pattern, it's perfectly fine, as long as there's somebody playing, and somebody that's approved and stuff, which, by the way, I have a fantastic list of depths, and they've also helped, like, which is amazing. Like, I'm like, hey, my little one is not feeling well and she misses me and stuff. Even if it's a last minute thing, is there any way that you can travel, like, to Cornwall, whatever, tomorrow? And they're like, oh yeah, fine, that's fine, I hope she feels better, and those things are like, oh man, I'm like, that is so amazing. And I do appreciate that a lot, so those are a few ways, that a lot of people support that. Even, they might not have a family, but they understand, and they try to make it better.
That's a really
And
good.
are there other mums on the show as well? Sorry, Kira, because I've
No,
interrupted the flow of the questions.
yeah, no, it's fine. I'm the only one. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the only one. So it is it's a bit like, I'm a lot of things that that I'm not the typical, Western. I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't want to generalize or anything, but yeah, I'm one of the eldest there, like, I'm married, I've got kids, I'm from another country, like, there. But I also appreciate that, because that brings just diversity and different, things that, people obviously they're looking for, because it brings something, it adds something, and also provides the opportunity for more people to have that chance to perform at that level, and also to be part of something, like. And six, I think that, and yeah, the West End in general, like, they're very keen on doing that, and I think they're doing it, which is amazing, because they're backing up what they're saying, so I do appreciate that.
How did it come about, the whole Six the Musical tour? And did when you decided to tell them about you having a family, can you give us a little insight into how that came about as well? Like, what was going on in your mind, and how you prepared for that?
Yeah. So I was already like, I'm gonna tell them, they're gonna say no, like, I'm like, but that's the reality, like. And I wouldn't put my family through something that I'm not sure if it's gonna work, like, I always put them first. So when I auditioned, it was open, as in, they said that they had openings for different like West End and Depths and tour, and I didn't know what it was actually for until I got the call. And they offered me the tour. So when I, talk it over with my husband, he's like, well, I mean, that is intense, isn't it? That I don't think that's gonna work. And I'm like, yeah, but I do want to be in the network, and I want to have the experience. And I sort of said, okay, well, this is the situation. I do feel that I need to try it first, if it works. Not try like if my drumming works or anything. I knew that it would be fine. Just the whole touring and the family, and if they were going to be fine and okay with that. So they offered me the year contract, and I said, no, I don't want it, which is like, nobody would say that. I think they were also dealing like with such a different situation, because anyone would just be like, yeah, I'm on it, like, that's it. And I'm like, yeah, well, I do want it, but I just can't take it. And I said, well, is it possible to just try it out for a month or 2 months, and then take it from there, and I'll let you know if it works. I've never done a tour like that, and it was actually my first time playing a musical as well. I'm more like jazz and function and stuff like that, but I've always had an interest in that, and I think it was just the lack of opportunity. It wasn't even, me not being able to do it or not willing to do it. So you got one amazing opportunity, and then you got like an amazing thing as well, and I'm like, how do I bring these together that actually nobody's left out, or I don't sort of, yeah, I'm not around for my family. So yeah, when I mentioned that, then it was such a positive thing, and they were like, yeah, well, that's fine, we can work something out, we really want you. And I was like, that's awesome. I thought that I was gonna be like, okay, well, no, then that's a good enough reason, so they'll leave me alone, they'll find someone else. And no, they actually stuck with me, and that even, like, it just feels even better than they saw potential. At the same time, they also saw a different circumstance, that it was not just like them, it makes their life easier just to get someone else. They were like, well, I think this is something for everyone, and we need to accommodate, and we need to be flexible enough. And yeah, I respect them so much for that. So I think that everyone should take notes on on their reaction as well, and their willingness, to help. So yeah, ever since, I've had a really great experience, and everybody's happy. And I there are good days and bad days as well, with the family and also with the show, but nothing, that is like really stressful, or
So when you told them, when you said, I don't want to take the year contract, I just want a month or two, is that when you said, because I have a family, or did you just
yes.
keep it quiet?
No, I mean, I said, well, my circumstance it has changed, and it did, because at the same time my husband got a contract from home, doing some financial things, and then I'm like, it will make things very difficult, and that's because I have a family. And then I said, but I can, like, work something out to at least try it and see if it works. So it wasn't like, okay, that's an excuse, and I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like, I did try to put the situation as it was, with all the details, and it had no effect, as in, oh, okay, then we'll find someone else. So yeah, it was good.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
what you want. You want that support, don't you?
exactly. Obviously, you want to make it easy as well, and I do think that I'm easy to work with. But this was next level, and when little kids are involved as well, and it's also a new thing. I mean, I'm sure like many moms, have done this, with its difficulty and stuff. But in the past, I do think that it would be impossible to get something like that. Like, if you tell them, oh, touring family, like, female drummer, like, it was just like, no, 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 no. So at some point, people wouldn't even try it, and right now it's changing, and it gives me confidence, and also calmness of like being really honest, and and have a fair treatment in return as well. So yeah, no, it's good. It's good that it's a positive experience, because most people will be moaning. I'll be the first one, but no, I don't have anything. This time it's like things are really changing, at least here in the UK,
Yeah.
So it's something to be applauded, and like to share, so people can uh be confident that there's somebody thinking about this, and trying to change it,
I
because
find that great. I remember, sorry, like, I mean, must have been about 10 or 15 years ago. There were just hardly any women working in the West End anyway, or, doing tours. So that in itself is great, that this musical is really like it's an all-female band, right? Am I right in
yes,
thinking that?
yes,
And yeah, just the fact that you're also able to tour and you have kids at home, I find that, yeah,
yeah, it
great.
is. Yeah, it's amazing. And you know, sometimes they come and see the show in different cities, so it's also nice, you know, that I can always have an excuse, you know, like to take them out somewhere, you know, that we haven't been. Um, but yeah, I've seen the trend now that a lot of musicals are requiring women, you know, as well, and not just to take like more girly, you know, like instruments, but like rhythm sections and stuff like that, just being um men and women, you know, like whoever, you know, plays better in an audition, like regardless, you know. So it's really, really good. Like I've seen at least, I don't know, 4 or 5. Actually, with Catback, she was just in Hex, you know, like, and I think that was also, it had a lot of female musicians that also have been part of Six. And I think Six was one of the first musicals to actually do this, you know. So now more people and more shows are taking that concept as well, of like just not just tick a box and say, oh, okay, well, okay, here's the black person, here's the from abroad, he's like the female musician here. Like, no, it's like if they can play, you know, and they're amazing, I don't think why, you know, their color, nationality, or gender, you know, should be an issue for them to be part of this, you know. So that's really, really amazing, because the quality, I mean, all the reviews, you know, that are out there for at least for this show, you know, like they always talk about the band and being so tight and stuff, and I work with them and I'm like, wow, man, they're really incredible. Like, you know, I get to play with people every single night, and even, I mean, everyone that comes to the show, like previous musicians, depth or whatever, they're in a level that I'm like, this is so awesome, working, you know, with film musicians all the time that are so professional and so good, you know, that I'm like, even after leaving and stuff, like I'm like, well, if I ever have another project and stuff, I would have absolutely no doubt to call them, you know, because I do want to work with people like that, you know, um with that work ethic and with that professionalism. So yeah, it's really incredible. Once they get a female musician on board, you know, they'll never look back, seriously. I mean, uh and I do feel it's because it is with that mentality of like, you cannot make a single mistake, because obviously you're harsh, like you're judged more harshly, and you always feel like you have to prove something. But that also has an effect of like, I just rock up and I do it, you know, and I try to do it as best as I can, instead of somebody that just takes the opportunity for granted and then just rocks up, oh, whatever, you know, I'll call my friends, or I'll call the fixer who's my friend, and they will let me in. Like, you know, that work for us, like we've had to work 3 or 4 times more, you know, than somebody else. And, you know, once the opportunity is there, it's just like kill, you know, that's it. So I think that can be seen around. And yeah, I have, because I do play other function stuff, you know, with also all female bands and stuff, and it's always great. The organization, just like the playing and stuff, is just tight and organized and professional and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what the big fuss is about not having us, you know. Like we're really awesome, and we're really like efficient, you know. So it's just a yeah, it's just a mentality that it really needs to stop, you know.
I guess I have two questions. With the Six musical, so correct me if I'm wrong, are you, when you're doing a show, you try and come back to your home each night? How does
No,
that work? What do you,
it depends. It depends where we are. You know,
okay.
if it's commutable, then yes, like that's a yes, yes. And we've been in a lot of places just outside of London, so I drive and then I come back that night.
Yes. I
So
see on your stories you at
yes,
crazy o'clock get in a train or whatever, and I'm like,
I know.
oh my
And when
God.
I drive, I always have to count 2 weeks, you know, because I always think that cameras like like I got caught like by speeding cameras or something like that. So it's awful. Like, oh, every 2 weeks I'm like, okay, here we start again. I think I got a flash. Like,
Oh
so
man.
yeah, the life of like commuting and touring and stuff. Um, And like I said, I tried to cut the week a bit shorter, you know. And sometimes I do come back, and I come back for gigs here, but I know that I'll be sleeping here, you know. So, and that I'll see the girls in the morning, I'll take them to school the next day, or things like that. Like, because obviously I did have a full-time job, but that's long gone now. So I'm properly, you know, like being a musician full-time. And then after this, I don't know what's going to happen. So that's my attitude of like, things will fall in place, you know, but we'll see in 2 months how I'm feeling, I'll be feeling about it. So I cannot right now. I don't have the luxury just to say I'll dip out the show and I'll just go home and watch TV. Like, I try to make up for that money that I'm giving to my dep, and, you know, try to get work here, because I know that at least um I'll be home, you know, like, and I'll see the girls. So it's been mad, but it's been really good. Like, I don't regret any single bit. I've been waiting for this for so long, you know, and um yeah, it has worked out. And as I said, hard work, you know, even if you don't achieve what you had in mind, something positive always comes out of it, you know, if you're doing things right. So in my case, you know, it was at the reverse. Like, I had a smaller objective, and actually went, like, you know, really big. And I'm like, well, I just need to keep that flowing, you know. And in a life of a musician, I mean, they're always like, it's seasonal, and you get, you know, quiet times, and you get peaks and stuff. um and one has to be prepared for that, you know. So I also consider all those things when I'm doing this. But when I'm, you know, sort of in a good position right now, I just try to milk it as much as I can, and then also try to work out, you know, what the best sort of decision is, you know, in order for me also to spend time with my family. So
Can I ask you about energy and sleep, and
yes.
how that's been working? If you're coming back and it's late, and then you've got to get up and you've got to do the school run and all of that. Has it ever felt, you know, really like on the edge here? Where's my energy? Or have you always found a way to power nap, or, you know?
Yeah, I do that a lot, you know, like yeah. um if I have time, I do stay in bed, you know, like, I do all I have to do, and then I come back and I'm like, see you later. um Sometimes I cannot shut down, like, you know, I cannot stop my brain from going, and, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. But at least physically, I try to hold back, and I don't go out that much. Like, you know, I look young, but I don't feel young. so, so like parties and late parties and stuff, I'm like, I'm off, man. I'm gonna go watch my Netflix and order delivery, you know, like, um so that helps, you know. I don't drink, I don't smoke, you know, like, like all of that. So I think physically it's fine, you know. Obviously playing every night and stuff, like, it just becomes something. But at the same time, it's a short show, so I don't have to sit there for 3 hours and play. It's 1 hour and 20, and that's it, you know. Double shows as well, fine. It's in the evening, so I have all mornings and all afternoons. And because I'm away, you know, I'm not doing the school runs every day, so I do wake up late when I can. um and I realize, you know, like, uh musicians, and, you know, performers in general, like, they at first I'm like, oh man, I mean, these people, like, they have like their energy shot, not energy shot, like a like from Pret, you know, like the ginger things and immune boost. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. And now I'm like, so what is that? So yeah, now I'm like, I'm yeah, I've tried, you know, like all the natural stuff as well, just to keep my body, you know, like, not from crashing and stuff. And yeah, well, it is high level, like, you know, every single night and stuff. And so just trying to keep a nice diet, keep good sleep, you know. If I have time, I'm like, I don't care if I'm all day in my digs and I just literally go out, which is not good either, but then I'm gonna go out anyway, you know. So I try to walk, like, all of those things. But something more important than that, because my mom asked me the same question, and I'm like, well, when you love what you do so much, you know, like, you would do it. You know, like I don't feel like, oh man, I have to play again and I'm so tired. It's like I am here, you know, and the theater is packed and their energy, you know, becomes mine, you know, and then you're doing what you love and what you really, really dream of. Like it just goes away, you know, and to me that's an inspiration like every single day, you know, when I'm doing what I want and what I like and what I love, like, you know, right now it's not the time to say that I'm tired. Okay. So um you know, so that is you that just is a automatic recharge, you know, like every single day, you know. So um yeah, I'm careful, but at the same time I do know that there's an end date and it's like an expiry date, at least for this contract. I don't know what's going to happen next, you know, but there's a finish line. So if you finish strong, you know, I think that that's really good. And if you know you have the opportunity to give your all, and then you know just do it, and then I can take off, you know, a month or whatever, uh to do that. But while I'm at it, I'll try to, you know, just to really really go for it.
You've told us about your depths and you've told us about your husband, that he's mostly home, but who else do you have helping you? Do you have anyone else, like another network behind you?
No, I don't have a family here. But I do have a couple of friends that come and check on my girls. And for instance, my neighbors are also in the arts, and it's quite funny, you know, like because my husband, he's brilliant. You know, I wouldn't be able to do this without him, and he's a musician as well. That's why he understands. But for instance, his photo day at school, and I know that his hair, you know, like skills for girls is not the best. It's not even the best for him, like him. So for instance, I would call my neighbor and I would say, hey, I'm away today, but the girls have like photo day. Is it okay if they come over like before going to school and you can do their hair so they look nice and decent and stuff? They're like, yeah, no, everything. And then they rock up and she has like a proper salon, like, you know, with like little like all the stuff. And I'm like, you know, like things like that, you know, like just moms helping moms. And you know, like my friends as well, that they come in and babysit and look after my kids and babysit my kids, or even go to the gigs and stay, you know, like in the green room and stuff, like playing with them and things like that. Like it's amazing. And it's yeah, like all of them are, some of them are musicians, some of them, you know, are people that I know. So it's fantastic when you're here and you don't have like a proper family like support system behind you, like to get people either that do the same thing that you do or understand, or just people that are just really kind, you know, that would do that for you, you know. So um yeah, it's sorted. Sometimes I have gigs with my husband. I have a quartet and he's the sax player, so you know, the gig doesn't stress me at all. You know, what stresses me is the childcare, you know, like, so yeah, like I'll tell, you know, I'll call somebody and I'm like, it's me again, and then they would just reply, when is it? You know? And I'm like, well, and my kids are really fun, you know, like I'm like, you're gonna have a great time. They're like, yeah. No, they always do it, you know, so wholeheartedly, and they love my kids. So like, you know, I'm like, I cannot wait for you to have yours so I can say congratulations. I would do that for anyone, to be honest.
Well, do you think then that women can have it all?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Like, why not? You know, every, I mean, I guess like there's different circumstances, you know, there might be single moms, there might be people that are in a relationship, people that are married or whatever. I think that, for instance, in my experience that I'm married, like both of us are have the same sort of investment, have the same responsibility in it. You know, I obviously I realize the differences of like, okay, well, a baby needs the mom more than it needs the dad in some circumstances. At least my girls did, you know, just because of how we decided to do it. but it's both of us, like it's our responsibilities, and he should have the same opportunities just as I should have mine, in the proper time, I think. And I don't think kids should be seen as a wall or as an obstacle, but rather as an inspiration for you to, give them a better life and give them better opportunities. So that's how I see it. I don't see my girls as like, man, I had kids, so I won't be able to do anything. No, I have kids, I have to do everything. I have to do everything for them, you know, um, and that is just the way I feel, and I'm not gonna be like, no, I'll wait until she's like 12 or whatever, and then she can come back to school by then. No, it's like, I'm not gonna wait, I'm gonna do it now. And yeah, it's such a interesting question. It's such a broad question, isn't it? Because I think like it just depends on the person. Like there might be people that actually do want to stay at home with them, and that's amazing as well, and maybe their all is that, and that's incredible too. But at least for us, like our all is like, we want to play drums, we also want to be moms, and we also want to be with our kids, and I think that both things are achievable. Difficult, but life is not easy at all in any circumstance at all. So I do think that yeah, like I don't think that it should be a limitation at all.
Where you play with your husband in your quartet, I'm interested about the dynamic of how that works. So when you're together on a gig and you sound really relaxed, you're basically how I would love to be about stuff. Is your husband the same, or is he kind of like thinking more like home and organizing, or is he also kind of thinking about the gig and just being on the gig with you?
Yeah, we're thinking of the gig. Like I know it's sometimes it is really hard, but that's why we get people that we know and we trust to look after the kids. And to me, that's the main thing that I would say yes or no to a gig. If I can find the person, and we have like 4 or 5 friends that we really trust them with our kids. I still haven't tried like, external babysitter services or anything, which I think that they're amazing and everything, but I still feel that we're not there yet. So if I find that small network that I have, if somebody's available, which so far they've all been, for the gigs, I haven't said no to anything yet. I know that I can be at ease, and I can play my gig and I can be fully there, and then once it finishes, like, okay, let's go, let's do it. Okay, yeah, well, okay, how long would it take? Like, have you checked them? Yeah, so sometimes during the interval or anything, I would text, or I would already have a text, like they're fine, they're in bed, you're good to go. Hope the gig is going well, so it's really awesome, when you have that in your life, and also people supporting your career, because all these friends, that do that, they they want me to see, they want me to succeed, they love the music, they there is friendship, as well. Yeah, so to answer your question, yeah, like we're fully at the gig, and then things that happen either in the rehearsal studio or in the gig is music wise, and then we come home, and that's again the same dynamic of like, can you take the trash out, and like stuff like that, so
It sounds to me that you've really set yourself up to win. It's like, you are deciding, making the decision, and you're like taking by the hand the people in your life who support you, and it's like takes a village kind of thing. You've got your friends. So is that the kind of advice you would give to a mum who's perhaps worrying about, oh, can I still do this? Do you think the most important asset is friends support?
Yeah, I mean, friends, family, anyone that you can get that, supports you, and everything that comes within, you know. I think that the first, step is actually doing it. Otherwise just thinking about it won't take you anywhere, and I know it's very difficult. Like, it is hard. Sometimes I do get homesick, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could just drive back. But um it's a sacrifice, and it's beneficial. And I know that, you know because obviously, I'm in touch most of the time, and I know that, they did their homework. And I go to parent meetings, and I am like organizing, like a Cleopatra costume from, somewhere from, from like Brighton or whatever. And like all of those things, while I'm also having to think, oh man, I have to memorize the show, and I cannot get this fill right, like all of those things. But it's no different from somebody that works 9 to 5 either. So um in music, I don't think why it should be, like, uh yeah, not doable if I'm not the first woman or the last one to have babies or to work with babies. So I think just seeing everything around and everyone around, like, that it's manageable, is doable, then at least, the first step is to try it, and have a plan. And if it doesn't work for you, well, it doesn't work. Like, kids are different, families are different, but I think that women deserve the chance, at least, to experiencing it, to give it a go. And if it doesn't work and you want to try it again, then yeah, it should be. And they say, like, things get easier as kids grow up, and I mean, in some aspects it does, in some others it doesn't, because they talk more and they think more. So you have
They
to
have more opinions.
exactly. Oh man. um and you have to deal with other things. Uh but as I said, that's life. And if it's not with kids, it's going to be with relationship. If it's not with that, it's going to be with work. So I think that like, when they say, oh, I'll wait for the right time, there's never a right time. The right time is now. So yeah, if you don't give it a go, then you'll never find out. So yeah, that's what I would tell people. Like, just try it. uh Obviously not like you've given birth and you're like, okay, next day I'm gonna go, like, no. um but yeah, then you'll be glad you've done it. And I feel very proud. Like, on Christmas, I had the chance to play for a Christmas service, and I brought my daughter along to play with me. And to me, that, like, it was amazing. And so then after the service, she comes and tells me, so where's our next gig? When am I gonna play at 6? And I'm like, yeah, man, that's exactly the attitude I want to see. I'm like, I mean, now she's telling me every single day. So when's our next concert? When are we playing again? And I'm like, that little thing, it just means so much for kids, and it's part of the whole experience of what they see of me doing right now. Like, just being out there. And if you don't put yourself out there, I mean, it can fail, it can work, whatever. Just do it. So.
And that is the perfect place to end.
Yes.
Thank you.
I also want to say that you guys have done incredibly, amazingly well. And as part of the people that have inspired me is you guys as well. Just seeing the stuff that you do, seeing, well, as I said, I'm not the only one out there, and so many people are doing it. So many people are being successful. So just keeping it up.
Well, thank you. You keep doing what you're doing. The phrase, what is it? Empowered women empower women.
Yeah.
Is ringing in my ears, because, like, every time I talk to you, I'm like, yeah. Yes, she's just creating the stuff. She's just doing the thing.
I like the right time is now. I want to get that printed on t-shirts. I think that's good.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. It's always a joy. Like one of these days we really need to have like proper coffee and have the girls playing around and doing their thing, so
Yes, you can come here when my lodge is ready in the back.
I'm so
we can
jealous.
go in there and we can jam, and the girls can they'll have a ball. I know they will.
Yes, definitely. Oh, that'd be amazing.
And Gemma, you just need to come over.
Yeah, I'll just
Join
get on
in
the
the
next
fun,
flight with mine.
As ever, thank you so much for listening and to joining us. We look forward to being with you again soon. Take care.